Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first take on the Fashion Week reviews. So we're looking at. Hold a second, let me just switch to screen. So we're looking at the designer JIOH. I think that's how it's pronounced. I believe the designer is from New York, and it's one of the first designers that will be opening the Fashion Week. So let's take a look. As you can see, it's on Monday, February 4th. His show is the one of the Hacho, and Go will be the first one to be on the Fashion Week. So let's take a look at the website. It's kind of a lot of black and white photography and a little bit of color, a little bit of press there. Okay, so um, I think it has some style to it, but we'll see how the designer will progress throughout the Fashion Week. Um, this is the Facebook page, so we see a little bit of following there, but not that much. It's shopping and kind of designer is like very much into the artsy stuff. I think a lot of things are very provocative here, and a little bit of following on the Instagram. So we look at 15,000 followers here. Let's take a look. Pretty much the same images. That's Facebook, maybe different, right? I think it's different, but the same kind of very simplistic style. I don't think it was used long lens or it's just so he. This one particular picture is. I don't think he took it himself, so I don't know why it's there. But those are the pictures. Just I think could be taken by cell phone or like I don't think it's a lot of styling or a lot of light conditions, but still, well, it's the same pictures actually from the Facebook account. So let's take a look. So what else we can think of this designer? We look at the Facebook page, Instagram page. So they have also Twitter, I believe, page, and let's see what other social media designer has. Twitter and Shop Spring, right? So that's uh, let's see, no YouTube page, no Pinterest, no Timber or others. So it's kind of we can look at the size of following is pretty decent. From I think after the Fashion Week designer might have maybe double their following that ideally. Even if they will add a couple of thousand more, that's still I think would be a great accomplishment. Let's take a look. Did we discuss how often designer post? I don't know if we can really see that from here, but I see there is a little bit of content coming up daily, so I guess still there is some posting and some of the stuff a little bit more provocative than others. And quality of the pictures, like I said, I think they're artistic, but not very, you know, kind of pleasant, glamorous to look. I guess that's the style. I when I was looking at the site, I kind of looked at different links. Everything worked, so I don't see badly built the website. It's pretty decent, right? And what else? Quality of videos. I didn't see any video like a YouTube presence for this designer. Publication and press. Let's see. So a little bit of Vogue you see in December, and in Style and magazines. So Bazaar. So actually, designer has quite a bit of press. Cosmopolitan magazine. So it's actually a big deal. Designer, I think, since they have that much famous design press coverage. Bernie. So they actually, somewhere. Up there. I wrote to designers. So far, I didn't get a response, but I did it over the Christmas holiday. So I understand if it takes a little bit of lagging time if my credentials will be approved for the show, but I think I'd like to cover that show. I'd like to do some interviews with designer and his crew. I think that would be quite interesting designer to follow in years to come. Um, appeal to the audience. I think it's this is a designer kind of talks to the younger audience and teenagers. I think my daughter might like that one because it's very independent look. And my predictions, what the fashion week will do to this designer, I think actually it will be really good for them to go through the process, and maybe uh, the brand will grow and evolve further. Mm, I think it has quite of emotions and creativity in the production, right? I think the pictures are certainly graphically pleasing, kind of interesting. Has emotional appeal, has a human element to them, and pictures, some of them are quite intimate. So I think it's pretty good. As far as buying those things, let's see, collection and actually we let's look at shop. Let's look at the pricing, if there is any. Yeah. So this one is 645. This one is 270. So it's I don't think it's that expensive. It's for that amount of work that goes into this. I think prices are pretty decent, and I think the kind of the garments, the durability factor for this clothes is pretty still there. I don't know if those pictures really tell like, the how the garment is cut, but people who follow designer probably love that look and want to have that kind of relationship. um, I think as far as investment, return on investment for this designer has some meaning to this, right? Some I don't know if he's profitable or not, but I certainly would like to find out if we can do the interviews and we talk about the return on investment as a question. Body measurements, I think it's pretty well measured. It's not like really tight, but it still has kind of geometrical proportions. Um, I think the collection is quite effective, and I don't think it's that difficult to produce that clothes. It's using very simple fabrics and stuff. Cost per price, kind of realistic. From that, we don't see much how fast the items are moving, but I think they been selling quite a bit. So certainly there is something that's moving those items. Growth potential, it's there. Impact of this the GO on the fashion week. I think it's if this designer been chosen to open the fashion week, probably will have quite a meaning, because it's not everybody gets a chance to be opening night on opening day, so it's a big honor. Usually the first show most important and the last show most important, so it's carefully been chosen, and there is a reason why this designer is on the first, like basically second designer to open the official fashion week. I didn't see any negative or positive press on the designer, but well, I saw positive press, but I didn't see like much negative stuff. I mean, sorry. How beautiful are the patterns? They're quite beautiful. I think durability we discussed. Comparison to other designers, I think we can do that piece once we start looking at a little more designers and do more reviews of that nature. Glamour level, I think it's pretty glamorous. It's not like a really like a evening gowns, but it still has appeal. It's quite practical clothes. It's realistic to wear. Mm, Size of staff, we don't know, so I'm gonna trying to find out how big is the designer, how many people work for him, for her, or him, her. Number of retail locations, I don't know yet, so we can figure out that one out. Um, Speed of fashion, never out of stock complaints. I didn't see any of those. Let's see. It's very interesting how many models will be in the show. Usually it's like 10, 12 models, but sometimes the designer would choose a much longer line of models. So we'll see if I'll get invited, and we can cover this. Designer will see how many models and the quality of models they bring to the table. Number of guests at the show would be also interesting factor to measure, and pricing, how to get to this designer show also will speak a little bit of how popular and important this designer can be. Once we start looking at the show, I can kind of measure and see what's the media coverage and how many media outlets and how important photographers and magazines would attend that show. So that will also be a good metrics to consider for next review on this designer. And prestige of the show will also matter. Uh, like I said, number and quality of photographers and filmmakers covering the designer at the show will be interesting factor to measure. And where designer stands in terms of similar designers on scale could be reviewed later. Market appeal, funding and backing of designer at the present time is unknown, so we're gonna try to find out who is sponsoring and funding that designer and why, and number of sales they have per day, per month, so we can kind of measure compared to other guys. And how environmentally friendly? I think it's quite friendly. I don't see any bad colors or anything that could be damaging to the environment. Let me know, guys, if you think of any other metrics that we need to include in our discussion of the designers. Thank you.